My tab this week is it's a cheat because
Oh,
it was not a tab that I had open. It was actually a listener submission for a tab that they closed.
you just stole it?
I straight up stole it. I was going to do it for the listener submissions, and I was like, wait, what? This is insane, and it's really funny and bizarre. So, I'm just going to have to give a shout out to Nico from Riverside. They submitted this tab, and it's funny. So it's an article from the Smithsonian. Yeah, right. I just straight up.
Oh, wait, really quick.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that my article was from allthatisinteresting.com.
Allthatisinteresting.com.
And also the Wikipedia page on NiiHow. Your turn. Go.
Which, of course, we will link in the show notes so you can see all this stuff. So it's an article from the Smithsonian from January 2013 by Franz Lids. Lids like the hat store.
Cool.
And the title of the article is The Little Known Legend of Jesus in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. Well, wait, there's another Japan link between us.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is. Yeah. This is not.
I was wondering how this was gonna.
It's the Kismet. The ESPN is gonna happen.
Yep, ESPN is happening right now.
Here we go again. So, on the flat top of a steep hill in a distant corner of northern Japan lies the tomb of an itinerant shepherd. In the mountain hamlet of Shingo, he's remembered by the name Daitenku Taro Jurai, but the rest of the world knows him as Jesus Christ.
What's he doing there?
Oh, I'll tell you what he's doing there. So, everybody knows that Jesus died at, Golgotha?
I should know.
You should know this. What this story presupposes is maybe he didn't.
That's a bold statement.
It's a bold statement, right? So, Shingo is this village. It's on the way northern side of Japan. It's about 400 miles from Tokyo. So, it's not like this place that you could just pop into if you're going to Japan to visit. You got to really commit to this. It's way on the northern side. So this legend first appears in Japan in 1936. And there's a family that came from the south, and they discovered among their archives a set of ancient scrolls that were allegedly Christ's last will and testament dictated as he was dying in the village.
What? I don't know what to say. Go on.
According to the nearby Legend of Christ Museum, because there's a museum in this town as well, archaeologists from an international society for the research of ancient literature discovered the scripture in 1936. That manuscript, along with others, allegedly unearthed by a Shinto priest around the same time, flesh out Christ's further adventures between Judea and Japan and pinpoint Shingo as his final resting place.
So what? He was like resurrected and then he just hopped over to Japan?
Oh, as I love to say, it gets crazier.
Oh.
These came to be known as the Takenouchi documents. I apologize for mispronouncing. But tragically, Hannah, they were lost in World War II. But their memory remains. So there's no literal proof of it, but there's a note that someone took. I figured you'd like this part of it. Jesus was here.
Why do you think anyway,
there was this thing that said what it was, but they don't have that anymore. But you gotta just go off of the but this dude said he totally saw this.
He saw it.
And they kept going with it. Yeah. So many claim that it's a hoax, but we all know that this is the truth. So we're gonna go back in time. We're gonna go back in time to Jesus. So
oh my gosh.
Jesus, of course, Son of God, very famous individual. A lot is known about his latter part of his life, but not much is known, of course. What is it? 13 to 29, I think is the age range.
Well, no, he kind of fell off, he showed up again when he was like 30, 31 or 32. But before that, it was like when he was a kid.
No one knows. He was a kid.
No.
Lost years until now.
Oh, that's where he was.
This is it. This is the gospel. So basically the story starts when he's around 21 years old. So roughly the end of college, whatever Jesus was doing, he's finally of drinking age. He finishes college.
Study abroad.
Exactly. So what does he do? He goes to study abroad in Japan. Why does he go? I don't know. Maybe he wants to go teach English there. Maybe he's there to backpack. Maybe he's there to just find himself.
He loves anime.
He loves, and who knows? Yeah. He goes to Japan when he's 21 and he loves it. He hangs out. He has he falls in love maybe with an older woman that teaches him the ways. This is not in the scripture, by the way. I'm just
You're making this up, right?
So you know. Yes.
Oh, no. I can never tell.
The story alleges that he's what the story does say is that when he's from 21 till about 30, when he shows up again in Jerusalem or whatever, or Judea, sorry. So he's there. He's basically he spends his whole 20s in Japan. He loves it. He learns about Buddhism. He learns the Japanese ways. He basically finds himself up until he's about the age of almost 30. And at that point, he decides, okay, listen, my refusal of the call of my life is donezo. I need to go back and face my life.
Donezo, yeah.
Time to face my past. So he heads back. He loves Japan, though, but it stays with him. It's a very important part of his development and of who he ends up becoming. And just like you said, just like your friend that studied in Europe for a semester, Jesus comes back and will not shut up about Japan. He is insufferable, right? Every time he goes to the restaurant, he's like, do you guys have chopsticks? I don't know about a fork. Because when I lived in Japan, we used chopsticks. Do you guys have chicken?
He's like, get the chopsticks.
Get the chopsticks. Do you guys have tofu? Because I'm not really into this pork or this is whatever, chicken, pork, meat, whatever it is. In Japan, they do it this. They have better public transit in Japan. Nonstop, won't shut up, drives everybody nuts. And naturally, the Romans decide that they're like, we should probably crucify this guy, right? I think that's how the story goes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He has some controversial opinions, controversial takes.
Got betrayed. Yeah, all that.
Got betrayed. But because of the Japan stuff, that's specifically why. Because he was just annoying.
Oh, is that what the story says?
Yes. So the story is that they couldn't handle how
I can't tell if you're kidding.
I don't even know anymore.
Okay. At this point, everything's true. So
everything's true. It was in the script. It was in those documents that got lost in World War II, but we have no choice but to believe them because of faith.
Gotta believe. Faith. Mm-hmm.
So right. There's the Last Supper. He's betrayed. The Romans come. Everyone decides that they're tired of Jesus and they're going to crucify him because he's causing a ruckus. They're not into it. So, but Jesus, he's a man of belief, right? He believes in what he preaches. He follows through and he says, okay, that's it. If that's my fate, that's what it's going to be. I'm going to die. I'm going to die on this cross. I'm going to get killed. That's okay. I'm not going to try and weasel out of this. Mm-hmm. Or so you think, Hannah.
Oh, what?
Plot twist. Did you know that Jesus had a brother?
James.
No.
Oh, sorry.
It's not James.
Sorry.
It's a twin brother named...
No.
His name is Isukiri. This bro, I like to imagine, looks like a clone, like he's his twin brother. But the only way you can tell the difference between Jesus and Isukiri is that Isukiri has a British accent.
And wears a fake nose.
He wears black and Jesus wears white, so you can tell the two of them apart.
Oh yeah. He's not.
I would say he has a mustache, so you know that he's different. But he already's got the beard and the long hair, so that doesn't really work as well. But he's just Jesus with a British accent. May or may not have been separated at birth with a Japanese name.
So this is what this story says: is that
more or less, yes, may or may not be separated at birth. We don't really know much about Isukiri, but what I can tell you about Isukiri is that he didn't want to live. So
he wanted to die.
Isukiri shows up, his British twin brother, and he's like, Jesus, hello, how you doing? Blah. I'm your brother.
The English are already annoyed we can't know distances. Okay.
you doing there, bruv? I'm your brother, Jesus. Listen.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't.
Isukiri is like, my life is miserable. I gotta make dinner every night. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna eat. I gotta wash all the dishes at the end of the night. I gotta do this every night for the rest of my life.
Clean the same messes.
I gotta pay rent forever. Isukiri. More like Isu kill me.
Did you just make that up? Right now? That was pretty good.
Thank you.
Wow.
And he's just like, I can't do it anymore. Thank you. Were you laughing on the inside?
I was laughing on the inside. That's how you know it's real.
And he's like, I can't do it, blood. I can't do it. I'm over it. I don't know where this accent comes from. This is Jesus. It's a magical accent.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me. Also, probably, I'm guessing he owes the mob a bunch of money and they're going to kill him anyway. He's got a gambling problem. Who knows?
This is so off the rails. I don't even know. I don't know where we are supposed to be. Okay,
where Jesus, he's about to get crucified.
Secret twin brother.
Secret twin brother shows up. He wants
suicidal
yes.
twin brother shows up and says, kill me instead.
And he says, we're going to parent trap this shit. We're going to switch places. I'm going to take your place. Are you going to be okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
And he
Look
says, it's okay. It's all right. And he says, we're going to parent trap this shit. We're going to switch places. I'm going to be the one to get crucified. Let my life have meaning. You got to get back to Japan because that's all you talk about anyway. And that's where your heart is. Why would you die here? That's pointless. Just let me do this one thing. Let my life not be in vain. At least let me do this one thing for you. And of course, Jesus thinks it over and he's like, it's not really like a good thing for me to do this. And he's kind of committing suicide in a way, but also I don't know where I feel, but it's a gray area, right?
So he's making the very Jesus-like decision to let someone else die instead of him.
In his place. Exactly, yes. But no, he's giving him his wish. That's what he wants.
Okay.
This is what Isukiri wants.
Okay. So he's the real Jesus. Okay.
So Jesus is like, okay, you know what? You're my brother. You're literally an exact replica of me. You're my DNA. I love you. I want you to be happy. And I want to give you this. The only thing I ask is that you give me your ear as a keepsake before I leave.
No.
I don't know why.
Wait, what?
And a lock of Mary's hair. And they're
Creepy.
like, done. Here you go. They just Van Gogh that shit. He just chops his ear off, just gives it to Jesus. And they get a lock of Mary's hair.
She's like, what are you doing?
They're like, I don't know. There's no mention of what any of the Mary stuff is. But for some reason, he's got a lock of her hair and he's got his twin brother's ear. And he packs up a backpack. He fills up his camelback with a bunch of water. He gets a bunch of Cliff Bars, whatever it is. And then they send him on his way. They're like, go. You're free, Jesus. Go back to Japan. So Isukiri is the one who actually gets crucified. He's the one who dies. He's the one who theoretically, I guess, gets resurrected. It doesn't matter. That's not the point.
WWID,
Yeah. That part of the story is besides the point now. That's gone now. We follow Jesus because now Jesus...
So Isukiri died for my sins.
Isukiri died for your sins, yes.
Okay. I'm following.
Jesus takes this long, long hike. So he goes all the way back to Japan. It's about 6,000 miles. He goes through Siberia. This whole thing takes him about 4-ish years. And eventually, from Siberia, he hops on a boat, which lands in a village called Hachinohe. Again, I apologize. Which is just a stone's throw from Shingo. He shows up in Shingo, and he's like, okay, this is a nice place. And he's tired, He's like 37, 38 years old by this point. He just traveled 6,000 miles. His back hurts. He's developed a lactose intolerance. Middle age is just staring him squarely in the eye. And he's tired. He can't go out to the club anymore. He's not about that life. He doesn't want to do it. But thankfully, he is shredded from this 4-year hike. He's in great physical shape. He looks
absolutely
good.
ripped,
shredded. Like in Rambo 2. He just looks awesome. So he's like,
or like
listen.
in any Catholic depiction of him where he's just got
exactly. Well, he's more like emaciated, I feel like, in those. But this is true. Like, he's got that, like, hiking across all of the continent of Asia body.
Lean,
muscular, looking good. So he's like, listen, I'm not getting any younger. I'm almost 40. I'm in the best shape I'll probably ever be for the rest of my life. It's time for me to settle down and to find a nice lady. And what does he do? He marries a Japanese woman named Yumiko. They get married. They fall in love and they get married. And they have 3 daughters. 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for Jesus.
Good for Jesus. He finds a second life. He has this whole other existence in Japan in Shingo. And, he's happy. He tends to a little plot of land, which might have been a garlic farm, is sort of what the theory is.
Interesting.
Yeah, he fills his time with different projects. Maybe he tried inventing garlic bread at some point, but, he couldn't quite get the recipe exact. So, and the world might not have been ready for it to come out of Japan.
You'd think he could have, because he's good at turning things into food and
bread.
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
loaves.
about that. Yeah. So he's there. And he's literally Jesus Christ. He's the Son of God. He's capable of doing all these miracles. So all the locals are like, hey, bro, can you just like turn this water into wine? Or can you walk on? The kids would love to see you walk on water just once, just for fun. But Jesus is like, nah, bro, those days are behind me. I don't do miracles anymore.
That doesn't make sense. Dude, retires. If I were one of those parents, I'd be like, I can't play with you right now. Go up the hill to the magical Middle Eastern man who can walk on water, and let him entertain you.
No, he's done.
He won't do it.
He's retired. He retired out of public life. He's like, listen, I moved to Shingo to get, it's like, when Hollywood celebrities go buy a ranch in Montana or whatever, because they want to get away from the paparazzi. That's basically what he does.
Hayden Christensen in Canada. Yeah, he has a whole farm. Good
exactly. I think Post Malone's got a farm in Utah, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he lives in Park City.
Yeah. So he does the Post Malone. He's just like, it's okay. I don't need to be the center of attention anymore. I just want to tend to my garlic farm. I want to live my days out as a father of 3 beautiful daughters. And I don't know, whatever, smoke brisket now or whatever, make IPAs, whatever people in that age do.
Mm-hmm.
So he lives this great life. He's lucky because after all, he is the Son of God. So he has this wonderful life. He gets to watch his daughters grow up and they have families of their own. Guess how long he lives for?
100 years.
106. No. That's
Sold.
Right. Jesus Christ lives to the age of 106. Dies
as a
peacefully.
Japanese garlic farmer
who, was just one of the boys. He didn't go around performing miracles. Just wanted to be a regular dude. Charmed life. It's incredible. And obviously, like I said, he has 3 daughters. So there are still some of his descendants that are alive in Shingo today.
Mm-hmm.
Funniest part about all this, and there's descendants that are there today. There's a couple. I think there's like one family that claims that they're part of this lineage. Guess what? They're not.
What?
Christian.
Duh. Wait. Because he gave up. He gave it up.
They're not even Christian. But imagine being like, Jesus was my great grandfather, and being like, yeah, but I'm not really into the whole Jesus thing,
Christ thing.
Yeah. They're Buddhist, which of course, whatever, Shinto Buddhist, all that. That's the majority. There's not a lot of Christians in Japan.
No.
But yeah, they're not even Christian, which I think is really funny.
I don't know what to say. There's
okay.
more?
There's more. So
okay.
In ancient times, so again, this is all very sort of like, we don't know how much of this is propaganda that's been sort of perpetrated by the Tao. I shouldn't say propaganda. I don't mean that in like the real way. I just mean it as like a joke, like
stories,
the stories that make it sound more fun. Because I'm all in at this point. I think this is great. So it's said that Shingo, the village, maintained kind of different traditions from the rest of Japan. Like the men wore clothes that looked sort of like the toga robes of biblical Palestine, and that women wore veils, and like when they had babies, they weren't like pushing them around in like fancy strollers. They put them in like woven baskets, like in the Holy Land. And Newborns were swaddled in clothes embroidered with a design that looked kind of like the Star of David. And up until not too long ago, apparently the Star of David were marked on their foreheads with charcoal. So basically, the town was like Jesus LARPing for a long time.
And just drawing a pretty common shape. Yes. 2 triangles. Yeah.
So but none of them, it wasn't about Christianity. It was about like this dude Jesus that used to live here that was really famous apparently, and this was his tradition. So we just keep it going. A fun fact that they kept it going. So
what?
Now, still apparently every year about 20,000 people show up and visit Shingo. Yes.
We gotta go.
I kind of want to go. You can purchase a trove of religious relics from the museum gift shop, like Jesus coasters or coffee mugs. Some participate in the Springtime Christ Festival, which is a mashup of multi-denominational rites in which kimono-clad women dance around the twin graves. Oh, the twin graves. I forgot to tell you about this. So the reason why cutting off the ear of Isukiri and Mary's lock of hair are there is because, as was the tradition, he died on a hill. I'm sorry, the tradition was not that. The tradition was he died on this hill in Shingo. The tradition was to sort of just let him pass and like let it become bones or whatever. So then they turned that into the grave. So there's 2 gravestones or 2 grave piles. One is Jesus and the other is the ear and the lock of hair.
Well,
so Isukiri technically a part of him. You always want to be buried in every episode.
I like, listen, you're right. Yeah. I'm like his twin brother. Just take
Isukiri. Me. Yeah. So part of him and part of Mary are also buried there. And they chant a 3-line litany in an unknown language. So it's sort of like this derivative thing that they don't quite know what it is. They're like, it sort of sounds like something that it might have been at the time, but apparently it's just evolved. Kind of like you said, like, again, very funny. Not intentional, just now realizing this. Also another thing that is trapped. What the hell? This is really weird that this keeps happening. It's just like your village where it's like this thing that continues to exist and it's been held on to.
It's like trapped in time. Weird.
Very strange.
Weird we keep doing that.
I swear to God, we did not plan this.
We don't plan these.
We don't plan this. I don't know why this happened again. ESPN. Anyway, so the theory is, so some people have tried to like debunk it because they're not fun at all. Because they suck and they're not invited to our cool dinner parties. But, Jesuit priests tried to come in, I think like around the 1700s. They were trying to bring Christianity into Japan.
The Japanese did not.
They did not
let them do that.
They were not fans of that.
No.
Did you? I'm assuming the answer is going to be no because it's about seeing a movie. But did you ever see the movie Silence, the Scorsese movie?
No.
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 It's not everyone's favorite Scorsese movie. I actually really liked it. It's not for everybody. It's a slow burn. It's not like you're not watching like Wolf of Wall Street in Japan in the 1700s or anything like that. It's like this meditation. It's not like nothing crazy like in wild like that happens, but it's sort of about, this is what I learned about this whole thing about like the priests going to Japan initially, but like Andrew Garfield plays the main Jesuit priest who goes because I forget everyone's characters' names, but like Liam Neeson was like the cool priest that everybody like looked up to, and he went to Japan and he sort of got captured and never came back, and people were like, so they send Andrew Garfield as like the dude to like bring him back. They're like, we don't know what happened to him. You need to go find him and return him. And the whole thing is, which apparently was what happened was at one point they realized that if they kill the priest, the Japanese, whatever, statesmen and stuff, because they really don't want Christianity spreading, because they realize that like it's going to subvert the authority of their government. So
they were always very closed.
They're also very closed.
Recently.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was like by 1850s, 60s is when the Meiji dynasty switched it all over and opened it up. But anyway, so they don't want Christianity coming in, and at one point they started killing people and priests and stuff. So what this movie shows is, what the movie Silence shows is, they realize like that's not as effective, because these priests are like, well, of course I'm willing to die for my love of Christ, and you're just turning them into martyrs. Yeah. They're like, this is great. Yeah, this is what we were born to do. So they very smartly realize that like, okay, they're not going to stop. So what they start doing is they start like, they give them the opportunity to is the apostatize is the term I always forget.
Yeah.
to apostatize in front of all their believers or their followers so that they realize that Christianity is whatever. And then that doesn't work because they don't do it. So this whole movie is about how he like refuses to do this. Andrew Garfield does. Whoa. And then they start sort of like killing the Japanese followers of Christianity as a way to punish him because they're just trying to be like, you need to go. It's brutal. It's crazy. But I sort of think it has this very interesting theme. I'm going off on like a sort of side point about it, but like the theme of it's really interesting. I think it's actually kind of a weirdly beautiful love letter to his love of God, which I personally am like not religious, but I was like, okay, I'm actually interested in I thought it was a really interesting kind of moral in the ending. Anyway, I'm rambling, but that's what I learned about. So the theory is that at some point this might have gotten mixed up like 200-300 years ago, and then maybe it was like a Jesuit priest that was trying to escape from all these different Japanese authorities that were hunting them down and trying to like get them to apostatize and or get killed. And they ended up just coming into this village in Shingo, and they didn't quite understand what the deal was. And like, they were like, well, maybe they couldn't tell if he was maybe talking about Jesus, but they thought he was Jesus. And
that would make sense.
That's one of the theories, but of course he can't prove any of this. But for my money, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, none of it does.
I don't think it matters if that's the case or not, because the reason I thought this was so interesting was because, you know, I did this book last year. So for listeners who don't know, I wrote and illustrated this book called Mothman's Compendium of Southern California Cryptids, where like I did this cartoon book. Yeah, you should buy it. It's not necessarily just a plug for the book, although you should totally buy it.
No, it is a good book though. Yeah.
But the space that I was in while I was writing that book was I wanted to make, so the story of the book is like Mothman comes to Southern California and he tries to find other cryptids in different neighborhoods within LA and Southern California. And it was just an excuse for me to like write these fun stories about each neighborhood and like some creature or some fake lore that could exist in like Silver Lake or like in San Diego or like in Venice Beach. And the part of it that I was like excited to do is I thought that it's fun that like, even if something isn't really real in a neighborhood or in an area, it sort of gives people this thing to rally around.
Oh yeah,
and
it's an identity.
It gives them this identity. Yeah, exactly. It gives them an identity. And some people have like whatever sports teams, you know, that they rally behind. But like to me, when I was reading this, I was like, this is sounding insane, but like this is no different than like the Mothman being in West Virginia. Right. And then there's like a festival. So Jesus is a cryptid now, according to me, like based on the research of the story. Japanese Jesus is a cryptid.
Is a cryptid.
Yeah.
That's the title of the episode.
Japanese Jesus classifies as a cryptid.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know, I never actually thought about that. That's really cool, though. Like the idea that people can like have an identity, not just around like a national identity, but like almost like a mascot, you know? Yeah.
Like a city identity or like a town identity or like, you know, whatever. I think we all need these like fun things to sort of like latch onto, and whether or not it's real is sort of besides the point. I think it's just kind of awesome that there's this one town they just yes-anded this for like hundreds of years, potentially thousands. Yeah.
Dude, I love this story. I want to watch a movie of it.
Yeah, me too. It's crazy. Listen, people who are listening to this, you should all sign up for the sponsor links and get us a lot of money so we can go to Shingo.
Please,
we want to go see it.
And I'll stop on that island on the way.
I remember going to Japan in 2019, and it was just so wonderful.
Well, you've been to Japan?
I have been to Japan. Yeah, I went in 2019. It was awesome. I'm going to be like Jesus when he comes back. Yeah.
You're bearded.
I'm I can do just I'll blend right in. I am Middle Eastern too, so I could be part of it.
You could pass.
I could pass. Not with my hair currently. I'd have to grow it out and thicken it. I'd have to get some hymns or some whatever to thicken it up.
Hair plugs? No, it's not that bad.
Oh, it is.
Like Tobias. I just pictured you with blood. Which is
I'm
also
like in
Jesus.
A wheelchair. That's true.
The bleeding from your head. Yeah, no. You're him.
Perfect. Anyway, so that's my tab.
Wow. I feel like I was taken on just this insane ride of I'm a little bit like shell shocked by that.
Ace kill me.
I'm going to start saying WWID. What would Isakiri do?
I just want to see the Parent Trap remake, but like with Lindsay Lohan playing both roles.
Jesus?
of Jesus and Isukiri because she gets to do the British accent and she gets to do regular Jesus.
She'd do great. I know it.
I love it. Oh, Sarah loves that Parent Trap.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so
funny.
good.
Yeah.
It's so better than, I mean, maybe this is unpopular, but I like
Haley
it better
Mills?
than the original.
Uh-oh. Don't say stuff we can't take back, Hannah.
Oh, I won't ever take that back.
Everything is good in its own way. We love them all. We love the Parent Trap.
Sure, yep.
Anyway.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
for telling me about that.